Okay, so to get started, I'm just going to be pulling my hair out of my face and into a ponytail. My hair is clean and very tangled, so just trying to get it out of the way. And I'm going to remove my glasses. I'm going to be using my super cute Melt Cosmetics Beetlejuice Collection mirror and just digging through my makeup bag to find my primer. And today I'm going to be using my Smashbox Super Light Photo Finish Primer. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, ooh, and I don't know how to do lighting, nor do I remember the name of any of my products, but I know I picked this up through BoxyCharm. So I'm just going to add some onto my face. I'm really rough with my skin, as you can see, and I'm just going to add a little bit more because it didn't feel like I had enough. And just again, blending that out with my fingers. And now we can get started on my product. So the first thing that I'm going to be using is my concealer. I actually don't wear foundation. This is the Shape Tape Concealer from Tarte in the shade Medium Honey. As you can see, I did recently shave my brows and they're growing back a little bit patchy, so I make sure to add extra right on the area where those would be. I also put a lot underneath my nose since I have bad allergies. My nose is kind of always red and irritated. And I'm actually going to be using this brush from BoxyCharm. It's very dirty, as you can see. I'm super bad at washing my brushes. And I'm going to go ahead and start blending that out. When I do get to my eyebrows, I tend to try to tap it in opposed to brushing it just to make sure that the product stays in place. And again, just blending all over my face. And again, my eyebrows were still showing through, so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more right on top. And this time, instead of using a brush, I will be using my finger to tap it in. Just tapping to make sure that those hairs are covered. And once I feel like I've got a pretty good base, I'm going to go ahead and get into my powder. And today I'm going to be using the Hourglass powder that I got from Sephora for their beauty birthday gift. And I'm just going to use this very dirty beauty blender to apply the product. And I'm just going to powder that everywhere that we had put concealer, and I always make sure to put extra on my brows again since I have nothing there. I don't like sifters, so I tried to take that out and instead got it all in my mouth, but I guess that's normal. And just powdering my face and just adding more until I'm done. Now we're moving on to palettes, and I'm going to be using the recently deceased pigment palette from Melt's Beetlejuice line. I love this, the hollow, the acrylic, it's all just gorgeous. And I'm going to actually be starting with the shade Beetlejuice, which is a beautiful neon chartreuse, and I'm going to be using one of the brushes from the collection as well. This one is just kind of the short, flat shader brush. It's very dense, kind of perfect for under eyes. So I'm going to be using the smudger to really just put in a lot on the inner corner, give it a little pop. I like the kind of sickly look you get with the green there. But after applying, I did notice that it just wasn't as impactful as I wanted it to be. So I'm actually going to be picking up another product, and this is from Black Beauty Cosmetics, and this is something that I got from a horror subscription box a couple years ago. It's a loose pigment that's really a similar color to Beetlejuice, but it just has some shimmer added to it, and because it's a loose pigment, you do get more of a wow factor. So I'm just kind of packing that on top, really to give me a little more oomph. So I'm going to go ahead and follow with the same thing on the opposite eye, and I really think that that helped out quite a bit. So now, to kind of just give me that sick look a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and sweep that whole brush under my eyelid to really give me, again, kind of a dead look. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab that Utterly Alone pigment paint from the Beetlejuice line, and using a brush, just kind of this flat brush, I'm going to be picking up a little bit of the pigment and trying to add it to my lid. Unfortunately, once I started using that, I realized you were not going to get the same payoff. So I'm actually going to go in with my finger and pack that shade in. And it is so beautiful. As you can see, I'm obsessed with this thing. It's so metallic. You get that beautiful duochrome finish. I just really, really love this product. I will just say it does dry very fast, and so you have to be very quick when you're working with it. It is a little bit hard to blend up, so you really just have to, again, be mindful of your usage there. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this really dirty brush from the Jeffree Star Morphe collection, and I'm going to be going in with some of those purple shades. I'm actually going to be grabbing the first one, which was Recently Deceased. It's got a little bit of a more kind of shimmery finish, so I'm going to pick up some of that blending brush and just try to blend out that product a little bit more. And again, because it is such a fast drying product, that pigment paint, you do have a little bit of trouble blending it, so you're just going to have to really put in the work there. Now I'm actually going to go back in with that shade Paranormal, and I'm going to be using a fluffy blending brush from the Beetlejuice collection as well. I'm just going to pick up that shimmer, add it to the outer corner of my eye, kind of creating a nice outer V. And I think this shade is beautiful, again, because you do also get those green pigments from the color as well. And I'm just going to try blending up as high as I can. I will say the one thing about not having eyebrows is that you kind of forget where where you're supposed to end the colors. But I'm going to use my finger to help me just pack in a little bit more of that right on top and use that to blend a little bit more of the shades up. Again, this is still a really sticky base, so it kind of helps to use your finger to blend it. Now going back in with that same chartreuse color and the same brush, just dusting it off, I'm going to take that Beetlejuice shade to help me blend that up a little bit higher into where my brow bone would typically be. And again, just blending, kind of bring that into the inner edge of the eye as well to give me, again, that overall kind of sick and decayed look. But again, as I get closer, I can see that it's not dark enough and not smoky enough yet. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth and flipping between those same shades of Recently Deceased, which is the purple, Paranormal, which is the black, and then, of course, blending everything out with the chartreuse shade Beetlejuice. So again, just adding a little bit more Recently Deceased to kind of bring that purple back to life. It got a little bit too muddied by the black, so just adding some more and trying to bring the color a little bit more revived. Then I'm actually going to pick up some more of the pigment and add that back on top because, again, the shades did kind of mute it. You did lose a little bit of the metallic finish of it, so just kind of adding a little bit more. And again, every time I add some more, I kind of tap it up a little bit higher just to build it up a little bit higher into the crease. And again, not having brows does make placement of shadows just a little bit difficult, but you know, you just keep playing around until you find something that works. I'm kind of cheap. I don't like to waste any of my products, so I'm just going to take my finger and use what's left to blend that under my lash line and help kind of smoke it out. This is really how I do all the smokiness in my lower lid. I will just use what's left on my finger or on my brush to kind of get rid of that product. And then I'm just going to take the same Jeffree Star brush that already had the Recently Deceased pigment on it and just start to blend all of that out a little bit further and kind of using it to go back and blend it into the Paranormal edging before. And again, just going back and forth and playing around, mixing back between all those different shades. And I think maybe getting to a point where I'm happy. Probably not. Just again, it's a never-ending game. You keep playing. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a break and start working on my brows. And this is the Urban Decay Brow Blade. So one side is a marker and one side is a pencil. And I use mine in the shade Blackout, which is probably like the most black brow product I've been able to find in a very long time. Using the marker side, I'm just going to start drawing a line starting from the beginning of my brow at the bottom edge and just bringing it up until where I want my new arch to be. Once I found a good place, I'm just going to start to tail it down and create my new brow tail, and then just start to angle back up into kind of little triangular shape and bringing that forward to really create the overall shape of my brow. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and start to fill it in. I really like using the marker because I feel like every time that I used pencils in the past, you could really see that clear differentiation between my skin and where my brow hair stopped, and I feel like it's a lot less obvious with this marker. But wasn't super satisfied with the shape, so I went ahead and added a little bit more to the tail to really kind of make it a little bit better. What I really love about this product is that since the marker edge is so thin and fine tipped, you're really able to create individual brow hairs in the front, and so it doesn't look like, I don't know, you just have made block brows. And again, this is a product that's really easy to build up with, so I'm just going to add a little bit more to the tail, make it a little bit longer. I traditionally like really long brows, but now that I've shaved off the ends to make them arch a little bit higher, that's a little too much to bring them down to my eyelashes like I used to. So now I'm going to go ahead and go in and pick up some more of the green shades from the Beetlejuice palette, and I'm going to use this shimmery shade as a kind of a highlight underneath my brow bone, because again, it's very metallic, so I just want to give that extra pop of color, and using my fingers to just blend that one out a little bit more. And again, whatever's left, we're going to just kind of spread it around with our fingers and just blend everything back out with the brushes. I feel like we're maybe getting to a good spot, but now that I have my brow, I can really see that I needed to add some more, really smoke it out a little bit more. So again, we're just going to keep going in, alternating between those same 3 shades to build up the color a little bit more. Now I feel like it's time for cleaning up and carving out my brows. I'm going to use the same Shape Tape concealer in medium honey and this dirty concealer brush, and I'm going to go ahead and carve out the upper edge of my brow. And just going to shape that, make it look very neat. And now that I've perfected my shape, I'm going to go ahead and just blend that upwards and into the rest of my forehead. Now I'm going to actually add just a little pop of glitter, and I'm going to be using this heavy metal glitter liner from Urban Decay in the shade Grind, using this to kind of underline my brows and really just give it a little something something. This is actually really similar to something that Gigi Good does with her makeup, but she uses a white eyeliner, which I was going to use, but I actually couldn't find mine, so instead I decided that glitter would be just as fun. So I'm just going to do a really thin line underneath and then add a little bit to my inner corner as well to give it a little bit of a pop. I like this because it's a really light pink but has a lot of different color reflex in it, so you really are able to pick up all the different shades. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my eyeliner, and this is the Pat McGrath marker. I love this thing. It's such a pretty deep black, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a wing. So I'm starting small just to perfect the shape, and then once I'm satisfied, I'm going to just make it a little bit longer and more dramatic. Just bring that in, really blend it together. And once I'm done, I'm adding this cute little mole there. Just, I don't know, for fun. It's something I recently started doing. Now I'm going to be using a pair of lashes from the brand Cavalli Lash. I found them on Instagram. I really like them. This is the style Bambi, and they are super fluffy mink lashes, as you can see. I like these a lot. And I'm just going to use my Kiss brush on glue. I typically use the Duo glue, but don't know what I did with any of them. Can't find it in the store, so I've been using this Kiss glue instead. It works just the same. Glue is glue. Now I'm going to be taking my lash curler, again from the Melt collection, and just curling my lashes, which is not something that I've done in a very long time. I actually wound up pulling my eyelashes a little bit too tight, so you can see my eye was starting to hurt. And then I'm going to take my mascara from Benefit, that's the Bad Gal Bang, and just using this to apply a coat to my lashes. And I'm not really a mascara person because I'm a lash person. I really just use this to kind of clean up any of the powder residue that was left on my lashes before, but I do love it for bottom lashes. I think this works really nicely for that. Now that my lash has gotten a little bit tacky, I'm going to go ahead and place it on my eye. When I actually put on my eyelashes, I try to lift the outer edge a little bit higher. This is actually a trick I learned from Willem, because he always says that, like, if you put it downwards or like in its normal spot, it does give you droopy snuffleupagus eyes, which is a vibe, but I have tiny eyes, so I want them to be a little bit more open. Now I'm going to go back in with Paranormal, because after putting on that giant lash, I can't see anything apart from it. And I'm going to use that same fluffy blending brush to just kind of try to bring that darkness up a little bit higher and make it something that you can actually see when I'm not wearing the lash. And I think it looks pretty good, maybe. I'm feeling a little more confident. And being a little Lady Gaga here. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started on the opposite eye after just playing with my lashes for a second. And I feel good. I really like these lashes. They're so fluffy and pretty. And I went ahead and finished up my other eye off camera. Now just pressing my lashes together, making sure that they are on securely. All right, now it is going to be time to work on the lower lash line. So I'm going to take one of those brushes that already had product on it and just use that to blend out any of the rest of the color, add a little more. And again, I feel like every time this mirror gets in the screen, it just really throws off the lighting. So I'm sorry, one day I'll have it figured out. But after I feel satisfied, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my face. And I'm going to be using this shade from MAC, and it is from the Selena collection, the first one called No Me Queda Más. And I'm going to be using this shadow brush from Cover FX. This is a contour brush that I got in the Candy Johnson BeautyCon BFF box like 5 years ago. It's so old, but I love this thing. And time for a vocal break. Really got to make sure my nose is dry before I start contouring. And I'm just going to pick up the bigger end of the brush and use it to pack in that contour all over my cheekbones. As you can see, again, I'm really rough with my face. I am genuinely carving that through and struggling with lighting, but just carving as much as I can. And I pointed out earlier, not only am I getting fat and my double chin is out of control, but I also have a bald spot on my temple, and so I'm trying to cover that as well. I could be using a darker shade, but this will be fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap into the smaller side and really just start blending from the bridge of my nose, because that's where I want most of my product to hit so it doesn't look as crazy. Again, after wiping my nose, I'm just going to go ahead and start shaping the bottom. I actually like to kind of cut across in a very flat line, a straight line, just to kind of flatten the tip of my nose and make it look a little bit more upturned and defined. And the contour process usually takes me, I want to say, the longest, because I'm always going back and forth, really trying to perfect my nose. Like, I hate my nose, and so I want it to look as different as possible every time. And I'm just adding more and more product, And now I'm going to go ahead and start using some blush. This is from Kylie Cosmetics, and this is super dirty, but it's in the shade Rosy, which is just a very bright pink. And it's like a hot pink. I do like this. I've had it for a while. I'm going to also be using the IT Cosmetics blush brush, and just going to be taking that very 80s. I start at the temple, my hairline, and I'm just kind of bringing all that in from my sideburns right to about the point where my contour ends, and just going to bring that in. And it's going to be very just centered to the sides of my eyes, because I don't want it to be anywhere else. I feel like if it's on the apples of my face, it really just makes it look more round and fat. And I'm trying to get away from that. And just having a little coughing fit and dying. Wow, my bra is just on full display in the back right now. I cannot. And I have a time for a vocal break. As you can hear, I'm still very congested. And I'm going to be going ahead in with some highlight. This is the Anastasia Dream Glow Kit, which is admittedly not my favorite, but the packaging makes up for it. And I'm going to be using this brush I got from BoxyCharm. It's by the brand Luna Beauty. I don't know. It's just not the greatest, but a brush is a brush. So I'm going to be using the shade Magic, which is more of the highlighter with the green shift. It's not very good for applying with a brush, so I'm just going to take my finger to tap that into my cheekbones. And that's how you're really going to get that color payoff. I don't like these highlights too much because I feel like they're very glittery instead of being as shimmery. This is definitely one that's best applied when wet, after you've just set your face with setting spray. But it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just going to go to bed, so I didn't need setting spray. And then I'm going to go ahead and take that same BoxyCharm brush and just brush away all the powder that I had left on my face. Just clean it up and stab myself in the eye, I guess. But again, just cleaning my face, getting rid of all that powder. And I'm actually going to go back and add a little bit more highlight. Like I said, my nose is kind of the bane of my existence. I'm constantly messing with it. So I just keep putting more and more highlight in, adding a little to the inner corners as well, into the bridge of my nose. A little bit more. Again, highlighting is never done. But I feel like for the most part, just kidding, another little dot, and another little dot, and probably another little dot. Highlight is just one of those things that I feel like you can never have enough of. I like to be extra, and I like to have as much shimmer as possible. So, yeah, I'm even adding some to my brow bones, even though I've already added glitter there, but just going to add some more to give it a little more of a pop. And now it is time for some more contour. I bet you didn't see that one coming. Like I said, this is probably the process that takes me the longest because I'm never satisfied and always have to go back with it. But now I'm going to go ahead and switch onto lipstick, and this is also from the Beetlejuice collection in the shade Miss Argentina, which I love, love, love the packaging on these. It is so cool. Miss Argentina is just like a true red. When I swatched it, I feel like it was definitely more orange based, but as you can see, when I apply this thing, it is red, 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 and I love it. The one thing is, I think that because it's so dry, it is a little bit hard to put on. And I say dry and then it's very matte. It still feels really nice and creamy on the lips, but it's just so kind of tricky to apply because you kind of really have to press in that I can actually feel the bullet wobbling a little bit, like it's going to break, and I'm nervous about that, but it's so pretty. Like you can see, I'm really having to drag on my lips because this stuff is dry. It is very, 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 very matte, but it's such a pretty bright red. I love it. And I am not actually using a lip liner because I want to make sure that none of it kind of interferes with the actual shade. I want it to be as true as possible. And again, just kind of cleaning everything up a little bit further, making sure everything is nice and well defined, and adding a little more to my inner corners, the inner rim, to make sure that I don't have any bare butthole there. And I love the shade. It's so pretty. When I swatched it last time, I put on a little bit of gloss, but I really wanted it to just kind of be a little more matte and true. And it's honestly very, very red. I love this lipstick so much. I love all these makeup. I think it's so gorgeous. This brand killed it every time. I know I said they come out the 27th. I was wrong. It comes out the 25th. It is amazing. I hope you guys love this. See you later.